know. I was just not hitting it very good today. I missed a lot more greens than I usually did, and I just wasn't hitting it at the center of the face, so when you do that, it's kind of hard.
Nelly Korda has had quite a hard year, but it didn't stop her, and she even rose to the #1 player in the world again. Keep watching till the end of this video to see why Nelly Korda says details regarding her blood clot diagnosis were totally blown out of proportion. Let's get started. The diagnosis. Back in March of 2022, Nelly Korda, the #2 women's golfer in the world, had been diagnosed with a blood clot. She said in a statement on her Twitter account, "On Friday, I was in Ponte Verde Beach, Florida for a photo shoot and a commercial appearance. After a typical morning workout, my arm started to feel like it was swelling. At the advice of my doctor, I went to the emergency room as a precaution. I was diagnosed with a blood clot. I'm currently at home getting treatment to eliminate further risks. I will communicate my status when there's more information. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for their support and ask for privacy for all our family during this time. I hope to be back real soon. Thank you." Almost a month later, the golfer took to Instagram with an update on her condition, sharing an image in a hospital bed after having undergone surgery to remove the clot. "It wasn't the start of the year I'd hoped for, to say the least. 2022 began with me getting COVID-19 the second week of January, which kept me off my feet for some time before the beginning of the LPGA season. Then, I followed that up with a blood clot. I recently underwent surgery for a blood clot in my subclavian vein. I'm pleased to report the procedure went well and the doctors were happy with the outcome. I am now home recovering and preparing to start rehab, and I'm looking forward to getting back to 100% so I can begin practicing," she mentioned in the caption of the Insta post. When she first answered questions from the media for the first time since undergoing surgery, she was nervous at first as she began detailing what happened when she found out about her diagnosis. She said she was simply feeling funny and that her arm didn't feel right. After speaking with her family doctor, she went to an emergency room. In April, she underwent surgery near her home in Sarasota, Florida, and then traveled to Carlsbad, California for rehabilitation. "I've been kind of struggling with my shoulder a little here and there for actually the past year, so I was saying, kill two birds with one stone. I kind of just made sure that I was ready and 100% going into my comeback, and I didn't really want to rush it or anything," Korda said about her rehab. When asked if the doctors had given her any indication on the cause of the blood clot, Korda said yes, but that she'd like to keep that information private. When she was asked about the scariest moment of the whole story with the blood clot, she replied quickly, "Just not knowing, honestly, the uncertainty of everything. Obviously, you get diagnosed and I didn't know much about it. Like, obviously, I knew I had a blood clot, but didn't know what the next step was. For me, the uncertainty of that was the scariest. As a golfer, I feel like my life is planned out. I know where I'm going next, I know what to do next, or you would hope to know. But just getting hit with something like this and just not knowing what to do or what my next step was." The big return. When she was returning to a major part of her life, she made sure that she was ready, and she didn't want to rush it or anything. "I just wanted to make sure that I was not going to have any issues, even if it was just like a little bit of my shoulder bugging me coming back in," she said. She began hitting balls again around the Palos Verdes Championship in late April, starting out slow at 60%, hitting her 8-iron around 100 yards to see how her arm felt. Once she got the clearance from her doctor, she was good to go. "As I got closer to this week, I started finally hitting it a little longer. I think the juices started flowing a little bit more, but I'm so happy to be out here. I've missed everyone, and I'm just grateful," she said. At her first event back, in early June at the US Women's Open, she tied for 8th. She finished in the top 10 in half of her 8 events this summer, which included 2 runners-up. She won an Aramco Team Series event as part of the Ladies European Tour in mid-August. Then, Korda missed the cut in her second-to-last event at the Northwest Arkansas Championships at the end of September. Then, Korda missed the cut in her last tournament at the Ascendant a week later. And then she won. She must have felt super proud for being #1 again. "Yeah, I didn't even know that was kind of in play if I'd won. Quite amazing, to be honest. I've never been a player that's kind of looked at the rankings too much. I've always said that good golf and enjoying myself out there and playing to the best of my ability kind of solves all that. But yeah, I mean, last year, I got to the world #1 ranking after winning a major for the first time, and that was really special. And then obviously going through what I've been going through this year and regaining that world #1 ranking is really special as well. Korda said. Jamie Mulligan interview. Korda's coach, Jamie Mulligan, gave an interview to Golf Week in which he provided more details on the illness that Korda gave herself. According to Mulligan, the blood clot she suffered from was 2 centimeters from her heart, and Korda was sounding emotional during the incident and that her hands were turning weird colors the day that she was diagnosed. Mulligan told the story. The next day, it rained during the Players' Championship and we hung out at the house we were staying at. Patrick's physical therapist, David Sunderland, worked on the girls and Patrick. I was working upstairs and David came upstairs and said, "Hey, there's something wrong with Nelly." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He says, "I can't really say." A little while later, I called Nelly to see how she was, and Nelly isn't usually emotional, and she sounded emotional, and she said, "My hands are turning strange colors." So I said, "Give me a minute," and I hung up. I called PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, who's my longtime friend, and he opened up with, "Hey, I heard Nelly was in town." I said, "That's why I'm calling you. We have a problem. I think she may have a blood clot, and I need your help." He called the cavalry and helped us because she had to see a doctor right away, and they ended up doing a procedure. But Jay was a catalyst for that, and it was really cool that he did that. Mulligan noted that the procedure was supposed to take 45 minutes and ended up taking almost 3 hours, and he said that it was scary. You know, it was an inch from her heart. I mean, she could have died, he said. Well, that is a significantly more detailed story than the version Korda presented, which was low on details. At the CME Group Tour Championship, Korda expressed annoyance at the report. "I was not very happy with that article because I think that it was blown out of proportion a good bit. It was definitely not that bad, but I'm very private about my medical history, my medical issues. So in a sense, yeah, I think that article is just blown out of proportion, honestly," she said, and we can't agree more. Korda and her team have a reputation for being a tight-knit group, a circumstance that was only cemented this year. And when asked about this, she confirmed, "Private, yes." When asked why a member of her inner circle would have spoken about her incident to a reporter without clearing it with her first, she was clearly not pleased, but would only add, "No, nothing to say." But everyone praises Nelly's talent, especially Mulligan. After all, women's golf has been waiting for a global superstar, specifically an American player who could lift the game to new heights. Nelly has the potential to fill that role. She's it. She's like almost nothing I've ever seen before. She's got it all. She has the ability to make a hard sport look easy. As far as like the ability to match mechanics and tempo and mind over body over spirit and being like driven to be a great player, she's a unicorn, you know, said Mulligan, who coached World Golf Hall of Famer Amy Alcott and has been teaching golf for 4 decades. What do you think about Nelly Korda? Let us know in the comments down below.